grab those tissues, bring those tissues with you, especially, for some of the final scenes in the movie, or we'll definitely make you utilize those tissues.
What do you want in life, Kevin Von Erich?
More ribs. I want to be with my family. Be with my brothers.
What's up, YouTube? Drive-By Movies here, and you're watching
Fresh Releases.
My name is James.
My name is Blaze.
And today we're checking out the film that's breaking everyone, giving people all the tears, The Iron Claw.
I need to think about my family.
Your job is to wrestle.
Live up to that deal, or we are through.
I told you to look out for him!
I just love being out there with you guys. It's the only thing that matters to me.
The Bonner will forever be the greatest family in the history of wrestling.
The Iron Claw is the true story of the inseparable Von Erich brothers who made history in the intensely competitive world of professional wrestling in the early 1980s. So, James, this film, I feel like, has been the talk of the town. Everyone is just saying how incredible this film has been, how it's brought them to tears, that it's definitely, this is like one of those built up tragedies. I mean, if you go and check out this story, like, you're going to be like, how is it possible for a family to be this unlucky? But going into this movie, I was, avoided all spoilers. I knew it was going to be sad, and I knew it was just about bad luck, I guess a curse, but I didn't know any of the details surrounding that. So I'm glad that this film wasn't spoiled for me, all the details in it. But anyways, James, what did you think of this film?
Yeah, so, I mean, hearing about it at first, I was like, oh, 824 movie, it's got to be artsy, it's based on a true story, so I assume it's very dark in the subject matter and what happened, but just something about it just wasn't appealing to me. I guess you could say maybe the wrestling aspect, because I've never really watched wrestling. In the times I've watched wrestling, I wasn't allowed to watch it as a kid. My parents just thought it was violent, and they'd always say it's fake and stupid and not for kids, even though it was geared for kids and was just fun entertainment. But I remember as jokes, actually, you and I used to just blaze it up and watch wrestling as like joke videos, and I really got into watching it for fun. It was hilarious, but I don't know a lot about the history of it. But seeing drama movie about it was really interesting now that I've actually come out of the movie. And it's a movie that definitely I walked away with enjoying a lot more than I expected to watch. It is a lot of people are talking about how it broke them and everything, and how I've seen plenty of videos where people are crying walking out of the theater, or crying at their seat as the credits are rolling, and people are joking with each other, being like, how are you feeling after that? And it's a movie that kind of hit me harder as I started to think about it and stuff, and really enjoyed it though. What are your thoughts on coming out of it?
So yeah, this was definitely a film where watching it, I kept wondering, most of the time, okay, I see what we're doing here. I've seen, past Sean Durkin films. We saw, I think we both really enjoyed Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene, if I got all those names in the correct order, hopefully. But yeah, I think we both really enjoyed that movie. We've seen other works of Sean Durkin, also his friends. I think it was a collective of filmmakers from New York. I know there's 3 of them, and they all made kind of similar style movie. I know Antonio Campos is also a director that's part of that collective, but they kind of came out of, I'm pretty sure it's NYU around the same time, made films that were all kind of similar, all kind of bleak, all kind of tragedies. And this definitely follows that same line of those style movies. This is, kind of a tragedy of almost Greek proportions, where this is just a curse that's been following this family around. There's so many horrible moments that go from here to there, and it's definitely a film where it almost feels like, how would you kind of convert this into a film? And I did a little bit of research on my own, basically just reading Wikipedia, but I guess there was even an additional brother that did pass away as well. And apparently the film, Sean Durkin was saying that basically the script and the film and the audience just couldn't take another death, so they did omit that brother. But I was like thinking, I'm like, okay, so if you're not gonna go true to life, but then also at the same time, like the wrestling is definitely not the focus of this movie by any means. I felt like a film like The Wrestler, which is also a tragedy, did that aspect better, and this film definitely, it has its moments with the wrestling, but it's never the focus of the film. The film definitely shies away from moments that are, you know, expressly horrific, but also focus purely on the wrestling and the matches. You know, you have a couple here and there, but for the most part, it's just those intros and the promos and then the winning of certain titles. But yeah, for this film, I did enjoy it, but I will say I was definitely disappointed. I felt like I wanted more. I just wanted more of that behind the scenes of like what it takes to you know, sell this this entertainment that is wrestling. You know, a lot of people call it fake, but there's really a lot of artistry behind it. You know, playing the heel, or, you know, literally putting your body through a torture show essentially every night. And we saw throughout this film, you know, the repercussions of the violence that takes place in the wrestling ring, but really bleeds into these wrestlers' lives. And you definitely see that through this story. But I feel like it could have been capitalized more so on really, you know, the marriage between those two worlds. And yeah, I just felt like it felt almost like a cliche Sean Durkin and Antonio Campos film almost. It didn't feel like it did the story total justice.
Right. I think, honestly, I mean, it sounds like you would have preferred more the wrestling aspect of the story, which I found interesting. But I mean, my problem, I guess, with the movie is like overall, I did like it, like I said. But I know this is a movie that's making a lot of people's favorites of the year. And what's omitting it from that is the fact that overall, I thought that the meat and potatoes of the movie, we know it's a family movie. It's mainly about this core, the family feeling of how close these brothers are, but it doesn't really get into the meat and potatoes of the movie till the final 30 minutes of the movie. And that's where everyone starts to let loose and say how they're feeling finally, because there's a lot of like kind of just hidden back, like people are not saying what they need to say towards each other for the first, I don't know, almost like 1 hour, 45 minutes of the movie and stuff too. And it's showing their career as becoming wrestlers, and then the tragedies that are happening in the times of them like kind of rising up and everything. But just, it doesn't focus enough on either, I guess. It's just a lot of then this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened. And then finally, now that I mean, spoilers based on a true story. If you know the true story, awesome. If you don't know the true story, like I wasn't aware. Finally, about hour 45 minutes into the movie, just all the brothers are sadly passed away at this point. Then finally, it's like just like all the Zac Efron kind of letting loose. I guess just with this movie, it kind of just, for an A24 movie, it feels oddly mainstream and very just like kind of just straightforward, I guess you could say. Even though like I said, it's straightforward, but doesn't like really pick a side of whether it wants to focus on wrestling or family, because it's just all wrestling, a little bit of family, and then just all drama towards the final half hour, I guess you could say. Yeah, I would have liked just a better mixture of both. I complained about the same with other movies recently, like Maestro and stuff. Just again with this movie, but I just expect more from A24 and this director as well too, because you know, I don't buy Blu-rays too often, and I'm a VHS head and stuff. And one of the movies I did buy for my Blu-ray is Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene. It's a movie I do like to revisit here and there, just because I find cult movies interesting. And I would have expected him to make a movie about wrestling interesting. This is definitely a story that I loved, and loved that it got told, because I didn't know anything about this. But just didn't think it was balanced too well, and just like I said, felt very mainstream. And not just because Zac Efron and Jeremy Allen White are in this movie, it's just more I just thought the writing just didn't work for me in terms of script structure.
Yeah, I think for me, another thing was just the kind of like the pacing, the editing, but also, you know, I think it was built into the script to have these kind of like moments where they would kind of pull away the punch and just like okay, then we just see the next scene and you kind of see the aftermath instead of seeing, you know, everything leading up to what actually happens. And a lot of that, I feel like, made the moments where it should be kind of true tragedy and heartbreak more of an afterthought and less of, you know, right there and more visceral. Especially a story like this, I felt like maybe it would have been too much for an audience and an audience couldn't take it. I understand that. So they did this aspect. They did definitely the prestige film aspect. But I feel like if you gave this, because I think going into this movie, especially with that opening shot, it really evoked ideas of like Raging Bull. For me, at least, I'm like, okay, this is like really feeling like it's going to be like a Raging Bull right here. And I feel like Scorsese would have done something different with this movie that had more tact, where this almost feels like it's doing that whole prestige, you know, Oscar style movie in a way. But at the same time, I don't feel like there was enough for the actors to really work with, because I think Zac Efron's a great actor. And I think there are moments in this film where he really shines. I'm thinking especially about that last scene in the film, because that scene I think is incredible, and it's so subtle and it's so almost understated, but at the same time it really speaks volume about the whole theme of the film, and it's very powerful. But I feel like there needed to be more of those moments throughout the film, because it really don't have that many moments for him to really, you know, sell this whole movie beyond just a look, you know?
You would think also there would be more dialogue within this movie, because he actually doesn't really have that many lines of dialogue, and especially Jeremy Allen White, an actor who's really popular right now, coming off of like a Golden Globe win for The Bear. I haven't seen that show yet, but I know he's been popular for a while with Shameless, and you know, I know he's got like just all the hype with The Bear as well too, and you know, they were kind of showing him as like, you know, he's the co-star of this movie. But I mean, it works for his character, him kind of showing up like 45 minutes into the movie, but just we never really get too much character development with him and stuff. Again, the most despicable character of the movie, the father and stuff too, just like would have liked to see more drama with him too. And also we could have got more moments with the brothers to where each death would have like hit harder, I felt like, just because the character that I was like kind of resonating the most with is just the one who was like more into music and everything, was the odd outcast within amongst his brothers, who are much more sports and much more easier to converse with other, well, maybe not Zac Efron per se, but I meant just more conversive than one another and stuff too. Like his death, like kind of just, I felt like a lot of deaths just kind of happen, and they do hit hard, but like I just thought that they could have hit harder with either a little bit more character development or just a little bit more like moments of dwelling. But I know that's kind of the point over the movie though, with the father saying we don't dwell, we just move forward, this is what God intended and everything too. But you know, from an audience perspective, though, I just feel like you still could have incorporated that, but still been true to the characters as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me, it felt like this film has been kind of praised so much that maybe I went in a little disappointed for how much praise this film has gotten, but also I felt like this story is just so kind of outlandish in a way. In reality, you know, it's based on a true story. It's so insane, but it felt like you said, there are moments that just happen. And I know that that's the way that the father intends and lives his life and wanted his family to live their life, that they just accept reality. But I felt like there could have been more on display when it comes to these actors, you know, building that character up to really make these moments hit harder, because this is an ensemble movie, but at the same time, I feel like I wanted more character development from everyone. And even Zac Efron, I feel like he could have had more scenes that really, you know, showed off all that gravitas that he really shows in that final film. And it's very subtle, but it really is the film that I think if anyone's, you know, for me, like even just thinking about that final film, I even tear up, final scene, I even tear up, because it's just so powerful. And maybe it was the whole film before that needed to be, you know, kind of very subtle and understated for that to really hit. But I don't know. I honestly think the scene even before that really helped sell that, because it's that kind of really ethereal, almost feels like an experimental film about all the brothers kind of hanging out. I love that. Like that ghost scene was just incredible. So I think those two scenes alone really made this movie for me. But everything else I felt like could have maybe been, you know, more effectively in the hands of a different director.
Yeah, and nothing against Sean Durkin too, because as a director, I definitely agree should be on the lookout for, and it's still made nothing bad. Because this movie is still a great movie. I do recommend checking it out and everything. It's just maybe not one of the best of the year and stuff. Like a lot of biopic style movies, just sometimes they resonate with me, but sometimes they don't. This one's still a great watch nonetheless, though. But did it break me? Thinking about it, yeah, now often more, yes. Like, I do have a sister. I don't have any brothers and stuff, but, Blaze, you're my brother. We've known each other for going on 20 years now and stuff. But just like, this is a movie that maybe not hit me the way I expected, but still overall it hits all the right notes and everything, and definitely maybe not a crowd pleaser, but I could see why people are loving this movie. It's a movie that's very hard to dislike, honestly, at the end of the day. But overall, just like great movie or good movie, but it broke me in ways that I just didn't expect, though.
Definitely agreed. I think if anyone gets a chance, definitely check this movie out, but grab those tissues, bring those tissues with you, especially, for some of the final scenes in the movie, or we'll definitely make you utilize those tissues.
Yeah, kudos to Zac Efron. Just the weight he gained to put on muscle. Does do a lot of his own stunts in this movie, too, as I saw. But, I mean, of course, in the full shots, there's a lot of full shots within this movie with wide angles and everything, where obviously it's a stunt double, but in the close-ups you can see it's him doing some of these flips and everything. I was like, damn, Zac Efron just did a flip on that dude. So kudos for that. So what are your thoughts on the Iron Claw? Did it break you when you saw it in theaters, or were you just a teary mess? Let us know in the comments below what your experience was, or your theater experience was, because I saw it in AMC again, and I hate the AMC theaters, worst audiences again ever. But yeah, let us know in the comments below, because that's a great way to help support the show.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
And speaking of updates, be sure to catch all our social media links down below. We got Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, as well as our own personal Letterboxd accounts. I'll definitely add to my Letterboxd account on what happened in my AMC theater experience if you're curious. So that'll conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new video.